considering that not a lot of you even have heard of the brand BGauss, well, let me just take a minute to acclimatize you to the entire scenario. Now, it is part of the RR global conglomerate, which has a hand in many things, ranging from wires and cables to home appliances, and even a vertical that caters to two-wheeler electrics, which is BGauss. Now, BGauss as a company has been around since 2018, that's over 4 years, and they claim that they have over 40,000 satisfied customers across the 9 states that they have established in. That includes 120 showrooms that double up as service centers, and now we are finally out with one of their products that we have out here at their factory in Chakan. They're calling it a scooter, but as you can see, it more or less resembles a crossover, like from step through and a scooter. Now, what does it bring to the table? We are about to find out.
The RUV 350 is said to be a replacement for the D15 model, which was already being sold out here in India, and it borrows much from its predecessor in terms of its styling, with some obvious subtle alterations to the new body panels, of which a few are now of metal construct. Now, while the RUV 350 employs a 3 kWh LFP battery to run, it also gets a separate 12-volt battery that sits in the front apron that functions the screen when the motor isn't engaged.
You have a 5-inch TFT screen, and although there's no touch on there, you do have 2 buttons to navigate, but this one, there is a very peculiar way to go about it, because you have to in fact use the brake lever to actually toggle through some of the controls. So when you're riding the scooter, you only have your ride modes and even your reverse mode to toggle through and actually access. Otherwise, if you have to access all stuff like your vehicle telemetry data, your display, your custom settings and everything, you will have to come to a complete halt, because you have to use the brakes to access those settings. Now, in terms of features, the RUV 350 gets a decent amount of them, starting off with the obvious, the lighting. All LED, as you can see, all around. Then you have a decent 5-inch TFT screen. It's not touch, and it is a bit cumbersome to actually employ on the go. Then you have stuff like 3 ride modes. There's Eco, Ride and Sport. You have reverse mode as well. You have 2 themes that you can toggle between, obviously once you've actually stopped the scooter. And of course, auto brightness, Bluetooth connectivity with turn-by-turn navigation. That we haven't really gotten a chance to check out the app right now on this particular instance. Then you have features like hill hold. You have a tech that when the scooter is a fall safe, basically. Once the scooter has hit the floor, you happen to take a toss, the thing will actually switch off. And then you have regenerative braking, cruise control, even that's a decent feature that's on there, which a lot of people will fancy. And of course, you also have this one vacation mode, where you have a switch under the seat, which allows you to switch off both your batteries when you go off for a decent amount of time, maybe a month or 2 on your vacations, and your battery will discharge at a slower rate than it would with the scooter just simply lying around. Something unique to the RUV 350 has to be that motor. Now, this is not your usual run-of-the-mill hub-mounted motor, because as you can see, it's actually mounted on the swing arm. So the motor sits on the swing arm, and it is directly connected to the rear wheel via a drive shaft. So it doesn't use any belts or pulleys or anything of that sort. It is quite silent on the go, and it propels this RUV 350 to a top speed of 75 kilometers per hour, and it's set to go from 0 to 40 kilometers per hour in just under 6 seconds.
Now, the company tell us that the RUV 350 is meant to offer a smooth, composed ride and not focus too much on the performance front. And that really goes to show when you back the throttle open from the standstill. Let's just say that you're not going to be winning any gold medals as far as electric vehicle sprint face-offs are concerned. Still, it's far from boring in sport mode. Acceleration of the line is smooth and gradual to around 40 km per hour, after which at around 50 km per hour, well, the RUV's motor acts a bit clunky and there is some shuddering at the rear wheel which can be upsetting. You'll also have to be alert and brake well in advance, because there's just the drum brake setup on here. Also, the weight of the motor has an effect on the way the RUV handles. You can feel the weight of the motor when you bank left and take a turn, and doing the same on the right feels a lot lighter in comparison.
The riding position of this BGauss scooter is fairly decent, quite comfy on the go. Everything is well within reach, and riding it over a fairly long distance, or let's say half an hour or 40 minutes shouldn't be too much of a task. But then again, the suspension is slightly on the stiffer side. We are out here in a pretty much closed environment, but then again, we'll have to check it out on the road to see how it really fares. But even on these surfaces out here, small undulations, we do feel the bike judder quite a bit. And the big wheels, well, it's not that easy to turn in actually. So in terms of ride quality, there still is some fine tuning to be done. Now, also something very unique is the amount of storage space that you have on the scooter. Now, as you can see, you have small glove box type area that you can store some documents and some light material, but of course that's not lockable. Then you have the underseat storage, which is around 15 liters. They say you can fit in a half face helmet, but as you can see, it's a very snug kind of fit. And I'm not too sure if you don't have one of these, maybe a Vega helmet, it appears to be that. If you don't have this particular helmet, I don't know if it's going to really fit in there, because that is the big 3 kilowatt hour battery occupying most of the space in there. But the unique bit, yep, that is the floor storage area out here. So you do have a very sneaky kind of storage bay under the footboard area, where you can, that's around 4.5 liters of storage area that you can store some items. But as you can see, the fit and finish levels not all that great, and yep, the company will have to tackle that issue in the near future.
BGauss tell us that the 3 kilowatt hour battery pack on here takes around 5.5 hours to charge from 0 to around 80% SOC with the standard 500 watt charger. Now, this charger also fits in the underfoot storage bay, by the way. And there will also be a bigger 840 watt and an even bigger still 1350 watt charger that will bring down the scooter's charge time even further. There is also a smaller 2.5 kilowatt hour battery in the works, while they are also planning to have a swappable power unit on there in the future as well. And that should make the RUV a lot more appealing to a wider audience. But as it stands currently, there still is a bit of work to be done with this one. Although I quite like the overall step-through crossover design, I find it quite appealing, the RUV 350 still comes across as a product that's rough around the edges. And also maybe not as well put together as something like the C12 electric scooter from their own backyard.
Now, to sum things up out here, what does the RUV 350 actually bring to the table in terms of EV two-wheeler standards? Considering that BGauss has positioned this one to be a premium product, well, to be honest, with everything that's out in the market currently, it really feels, well, under the bar, to be honest. Because once you actually get up close and ride it, there are a couple of, let's say, features or assets about it that will need a certain amount of attention and are in dire need of improvement. Primarily build quality, fit and finish levels, and of course the braking. I would really like to see a disc brake on there as well, in the front at least. But then again, it all depends on the pricing of this particular step through, let's call it that, because yes, for what it offers, the pricing is really going to make or break this one.